I finally transitioned to be a full-time A-pop video producer in 2022. Oh, no, 2023.
What?
That's wild.
Wait, when did I get laid off? Oh, this year. Yeah.
Oh my God. Hi, girlies.
Hi, Jenny.
Hi, Bria.
Hello, Janna.
Janna. Hi, Janna.
Nice to see you.
Yes,
We are
nice to
so
see
freaking excited to have Janna on. She's going to be a very, useful resource for the content creating girlies out there. Janna is a content creator who's produced and starred in a ton of videos for Buzzfeed, and she went viral several times. I remember seeing the video of you cooking with your mom that went viral. It popped the fuck off.
Yeah.
And now she creates content about Asian culture, like K-dramas, anime, art, food, everything you can think of. And we're going to get a look behind the scenes of her time at Buzzfeed, her time as a content creator now, and really get the tea on what that's like.
Yeah.
Very excited.
And we met you at Fullscreen, which it's, for me, it's so nice to have someone on from what I like to call the Fullscreen mafia.
It really is a mafia.
It was a mafia.
Yeah. Like, I really like root for everyone that we worked with. Like, when I see them succeed, it makes me happy.
Yeah.
When we would run into each other at like Head in the Clouds and you're there interviewing for BuzzFeed.
Yeah.
And I'm there
God,
like working backstage. Like, it's cool that like we got to like still interact in our different jobs.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like because a lot of us were like so young at Fullscreen, like in our early 20s, like we were there from like the very beginning of our journeys. So just seeing us flourish and like bloom, and like y'all have a podcast, which is like amazing, and y'all are killing it on TikTok and Instagram, and it's just I've been watching your guys' journey, and I'm like, oh my God,
thank you.
We were there from the start.
Yeah.
We were babies.
Core memory for me is when I literally turned around in my chair and I was like, Janna, do you want to live together?
I was literally thinking that because I just graduated and I started Fullscreen like 2 weeks after I graduated, and I was like living in a frat for $500.
Oh, wait, at UCLA.
At UCLA for $500 a
God.
month, and I was like, I cannot live here. And Jenny was literally my saving grace. Like,
You were my saving grace. That was when I had to move out because the cops came to our house and I
the
couldn't
raid.
see shit.
oh
Yeah.
oh my God, that's right.
Yeah. Well,
Side story.
Side story.
Different whole nother
that's
can of
another-
worms.
Well, we can talk about that later if we get into it. But
I feel like
long
my
story short,
earliest memory of Janna was when I still remember like when I was quitting Fullscreen and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna work in production.
Yes.
And Janna messaged me on the G chat and was like, I'm so proud of you for getting out of here and like following your dreams. Like, I'm gonna follow my dreams too. Like, we're gonna do this, blah, blah, blah. And look at us now.
Look at us now.
Yeah.
Little
For real.
21-year-olds just like, we're gonna follow our dreams.
I know.
And now
like,
we're
when
doing it.
Yeah, when you left, I was like, damn. Because I don't remember how long ago it was when I started, like when that moment happened. But yeah, I think I was at that point where I realized, I don't know if I want to stay at Fullscreen for so long.
Yeah.
And just like moving out of there, I was like, dang.
After 6 months, I was like,
It's
bye.
so crazy every time you say that because like it doesn't feel like you were only there for 6 months. Like the fact that we're
crazy.
all like friends and you were only there for 6 months is wild, but
You couldn't get rid of me because I was going to all of the holiday parties and everything.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
taking advantage of this.
The holiday parties. Oh my God.
They were so good.
but I'm so excited for you to be on High Girlies because one of my favorite stories of like when we lived together, because I feel like at Fullscreen before we lived together we were friendly but we weren't like super close, and then I was like, okay, we're living together and like sharing a space, and we've really seen all sides of everything living
Really
here.
have, yeah.
But I remember the first time, because I wasn't sure if you had smoked or like partaken smoking weed.
Yeah.
You had asked me like, oh, like is your bong free range? really
Free range.
It was really Nico's bong. I don't think you asked it like that, but that's like me interpreting the situation. And I was like, oh yeah, or maybe I had said like, if you ever want to use it, feel free. And you were like, oh, thank you. And I was out one night, and I think you were with Pernell.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Bleeping.
Bleeping. We can bleep Pernell. I mean, low-key, I'm sure Pernell would love a shout out, but like.
Oh yeah, shout out to Pernell.
Okay. Lean in.
But
The story.
you called me on the phone. I don't even remember where I was.
Called?
Yes.
I don't remember that part.
You called me and you were like, or I think you asked me like, before you called me, you texted me like, where do you keep the weed? And I was like, oh, it's in my grinder. You can take some out of the grinder. There's already some ground up, or you can grind some from like the stash that I have in the living room. You called me on the phone and you were like, I don't know what's in your weed, but I am so high and I'm paranoid. And I think Pernell had left and you were in your room by yourself.
Do you remember this? Like, what were you experiencing?
Okay, I think I remember it differently.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember texting you, but I remember you came in and Pernell and I were sitting at our bed just high off of our mind. Unless I made that up. Was that how you remembered it?
I remember coming home. I think you called me because you were like, I'm paranoid because Pernell had to leave.
Oh.
And then I came home and you were by yourself. You basically were like asking me if I'm coming home soon because you were scared to be in the apartment by yourself. This is also like the first week of us living there. So the fact that you're high off your ass, super scared, made sense to me.
New space, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's a new
true.
space. Who knows whatever. I totally got it. So I came home and you're sitting, it was like mood lighted in your room.
Okay, yeah, okay. I remember
like,
in my
you were
room.
trying to vibe.
Like, I'm so high. I remember being
I
like,
remember that part.
I was like, how much did you smoke? And you were like, not that much. Like we only hit like one bowl. And I was like, what? And then I looked at my grinder and I would say probably like 6 to 8 years worth of keef was gone. And I was like,
wait, it was the hash right underneath?
yeah, it was the keef.
Yeah.
Like powder.
Yeah,
you guys had packed a full.
No fucking wonder. You were freaking
out.
out.
I didn't realize that the bowl was different from underneath.
Yeah. Yeah.
Baby Janna had
Yeah.
that idea.
And I was like,
God.
okay. At the time, I was kind of like, I think immature, like under 25-year-old me was like, they smoked all my keef.
I'm sorry.
I know, it's okay.
know.
At the time, now it's a hilarious story where I'm like, I've never even done that. Like,
that's very
a lot.
brave. I think that one time or maybe a few times on this podcast, we have smoked like a keef covered joint. Yeah. Those are the episodes that we went sideways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
It's us looking up shit on our phones the entire time. Just like, what are we doing?
So I guess like to kind of get into it before we get into it, like what would you say like your weed journey has been? Like at that point, I felt like maybe you dabbled in it a little bit and then like tell us about what it's like now.
I think the first time that I started smoking weed was, I think, because of Austin. Austin was kind of like, Austin's my partner, and he was the first one to introduce it to me. I think one of our first dates was like smoking weed. The first few tries, I think were really rough because I think I didn't know how much to take for my body. So there were like the first few times I got really anxious and like vomited. Also,
oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah. But I think it was also just a mixture of like eating and then smoking. I think it was just a lot of like different variables. But because I think I experienced that so early on, I learned like how much I needed.
Yeah.
And then over time I just started to like be able to do it. Now I actually don't smoke as much, but I'll do like edibles or like drinks.
Yeah.
Or like just because I know now, like I don't need that much to be high. Like I'm very efficient.
Yeah. Speaking of what we smoked, today we smoked the Bliss pen. I really like this. Or it's the Dosist Bliss pen. I feel like it's a very sophisticated pen. Like it buzzes when you've like hit the max.
Oh.
Yeah, so like if you
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if you hit this and you keep hitting it, it will vibrate to be like No more. So I really like because it's a nice, like, subtle high.
I feel great with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Dosis.
None of us are too high to function. We feel very good.
Yeah.
This will be a good one. Yes.
So let's get into what's really going on today.
What's really going on is we are getting the BTS of BuzzFeed and being a content creator. So tell us, like, how did you go from Fullscreen to working at BuzzFeed to being like an on-camera person at BuzzFeed?
So I actually got reached out for this associate social strategist job at BuzzFeed through LinkedIn. And at the time, I knew that I didn't want to get into social strategy, but I felt like this would be a great opportunity anyway because it's BuzzFeed. Fullscreen was my first job, so I had no idea what it was like to work in social strategy in-house. It was always like, because I think Fullscreen operated as like an agency working with clients. So I told myself, okay, I'll try it out, and then if I don't like it, then I will try and transition to like transition into another role at BuzzFeed, because I knew like a lot of people did that at BuzzFeed. So took the job. Oh my God. Also, there is a side story that I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but when I was interviewing at BuzzFeed, that was also the same time that BuzzFeed was trying to take away Fullscreen's client, NBC.
Yeah, no, we talked about this because we both were leaving Fullscreen at the same time.
Yeah.
And you were talking to me when you got there. I think you had left right before I was leaving. And you were talking to me about how it was so awkward, how they were like asking you about NBC.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, yeah. So like I did a couple interviews, and then this was around the same time that BuzzFeed was doing thumbnails for E! Entertainment, which was like a big client of mine at Fullscreen. And oh my God, they made us do meetings with BuzzFeed, and this was after I interviewed with BuzzFeed. So I literally had to message the people that interviewed me at BuzzFeed and be like, hi, I know we have a meeting. Can you pretend that this is our first time meeting?
Wait, the timing of that is so crazy.
It's so wild. Yeah. So then oh my God, I go into that meeting, and we're all just like smiling, pretending that this is our first time seeing each other, and we're going around the room introducing each other. And I just had to like lie to like my team that, oh yeah, it should be fine that BuzzFeed is here, you know, like it was crazy.
Oh, because you were still at Fullscreen at the time.
I was still at Fullscreen at the time.
And she was interviewing for the job.
I was interviewing for the job. I think I don't remember if they had already committed to me. I think they said that they were like pretty close to finalizing like paperwork and stuff. And to keep an eye out.
Oh,
and that was around
God.
the time. Yeah, that was around the time.
I think I remember you asking me like, what do you think I should do? And I was like, just pretend. I think we talked about this.
Yeah.
Just pretend you don't know them.
Yeah. Literally just, I was like, because I don't know. It was like a conflict of interest almost.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, low key.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so you get to BuzzFeed. You're working in the strategist role. How does that turn into you basically producing your own content and being like an on-camera person?
The face of A-pop, low-key.
Yeah.
It was. There's a lot of tea there, but
Can't wait.
so I started as a strategist, and then after a year I was like, okay, I got a taste of it. I'm going to transition into another role, like a more creative role. And I wanted to start making videos. But I didn't have a lot of like producing experience, like not the way that BuzzFeed produces videos. And at the time, TikTok and Instagram Reels didn't exist yet. So there was a team called Web Scouts at the time where they would just string existing footage together and create a narrative out of it. And I was like, hey, this sounds really cool. Like, this sounds like something that is still in my realm of like social strategy, like blends social strategy, but also like has that creative storytelling component that I wanted to get more experience in. So I worked with my manager at the time to do strategy and that as a trial period, because I wanted to try it. And then afterwards, I had asked to transition to the team. And this was to the team that created those videos. And this was before the pandemic happened. So long story short, it was a journey trying to convince my manager, because unfortunately, I was really good at my job. So she didn't want to let me go. But long story short, I was able to transition into the team before we all went under lockdown.
Oh, it was that close to the pandemic?
Yeah. Literally, I transitioned into being a social video producer like 2 weeks before lockdown.
Whoa.
Wow.
But it was a blessing in disguise because we're here now.
Yeah. Okay. So you were like associate strategist for like a year and some change.
Yes,
okay.
a year and some change. And then I transitioned to be a social video producer. And then throughout the pandemic, I was just making videos remotely, like online.
Okay. Because I remember like you went to Disneyland for...
Oh, yeah. I wasn't a video producer yet, but that was when I was doing both strategy and like making videos.
Okay. That was before the pandemic.
That was before literally a week before lockdown.
Wow.
We went to Disneyland because...
The last hurrah.
Literally, this was, I think, BuzzFeed, the last of BuzzFeed's prime, the last of BuzzFeed's money, because
damn,
they never treated their video producers like that again. So basically, the reason why we went to Disneyland was because we had hit our revenue goals, viewership was high, and they treated their video producers to Disneyland.
Oh, you just went to Disneyland.
Yeah, and because I was making videos, like even though it was like part-time, I still made like a video that performed really well. It was like a compilation of like cakes or
food.
Reality cakes.
I thought you did like the food and wine thing. Didn't you go review that?
Oh, that was the year after. Wait, that was 2 years later. Wait.
Oh.
You were doing a lot of shit at BuzzFeed. I mean,
I did
wow.
so much. It's all blurred
that
in
was
my head.
for a video at BuzzFeed.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
The first time BuzzFeed took us to Disneyland just to treat the video producers. The second time I went to Disneyland for work was like a press trip. Like Disneyland had asked A-pop to feature I think it was their Lunar New Year food and dishes.
That's so cool.
Was fun.
That was during the pandemic.
Yeah,
it had
it was like 2022. I think it was the tail end.
Oh, okay.
Because I think things were starting to open up more, and we were able to get into like more events.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how did you go from UGC content creation to originals? Was it like did you pitch that idea of cooking with your mom like during the pandemic?
So I pitched that. So that was before, that kind of catapulted me into the role of creating original content. I think, how did it start? I think I was really itching to create content on my own. And I was getting really inspired by other creators that were also like cooking with their moms or cooking with their families. And I knew I also wanted to learn how to cook lumpia from my mom because I never really knew how to. Most I did was like wrap lumpia, but I never really knew the process. So I thought that would be a great video because I saw that there was like a proven format across social and TikTok. So I wanted to try it for myself, and it was just kind of like an experiment.
Wow.
I feel like you were this era when you were on BuzzFeed. This is no shade. I swear it's no shade. I feel like that was like the last of like the BuzzFeed celeb era.
Yeah.
Like even when we were working at Fullscreen, the people who worked at BuzzFeed were like celebrities.
Yeah.
Like influencers.
Well,
a lot of people use that as their jumping off point.
The no shade. But when you got on BuzzFeed and went viral for cooking lumpia with your mom, I was like, oh, Janna's made it. Because I felt like even then BuzzFeed was still a thing to watch. Whereas now I feel like
I'm not watching.
Now I don't even know.
You were on that last boat.
You were.
I would agree. I think because shortly after that, I was invited to be a BuzzFeed creator and to be part of their BuzzFeed creator program, which is where a lot of the BuzzFeed creators that you know now started off with. I think some may have left, but I think majority of them, even those who left BuzzFeed, are still in that creator program.
So what does that mean? Can you explain what that means?
Yes. Okay. So let me see if I can explain it correctly. So the BuzzFeed Creator Program is a chance for BuzzFeed to pitch creators that already have a presence on social media to potential brand sponsorships. And it's not limited. At first it started off internally, which is why like a lot of BuzzFeed producers became creators just because they were already on camera. They were starting to build a platform and an audience. So naturally, they just like picked those creators as the inaugural creator program to start pitching to sponsorships. And then it slowly branched into external. So they have like, I think, a Tasty creator program that features both internal producers and external creators. And they've done a lot. It's expanded to like both external and internal. So
when did that start? Because I feel like a lot of people in like the early 2010s who worked at Buzzfeed were starting to build their own platforms, and they were leaving Buzzfeed, and Buzzfeed was like pissed because they couldn't profit off of them anymore, basically. So I'm sure that was a response to that. Like,
exactly,
we're gonna get our hand in this shit.
Exactly, yeah.
So you're still in that? It's still going?
Yeah.
Wow.
Still on it.
Do you still get sponsorships from that?
I do, yeah.
Wow,
So the most
okay.
recent one I did was one with Home Depot.
I saw that,
nice.
yeah. Something that would be interesting for everybody, because now you're like an established content creator, you have brand deals, you have kind of gone out on your own too, and like you're doing both the corporate girly life and the content creation life. So how do you balance being a content creator for a brand and being a creator for your own brand?
That sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, I try.
It's fucking exhausting.
I can't.
It's exhausting. It's really hard. I think in the beginning, I honestly don't know how I did it when I was at Buzzfeed, because in addition to making videos for Buzzfeed, I was also creating videos for myself. And I was when I was really going for it, I think I was trying to publish 3 videos a week on my platform and then make one built out video for Buzzfeed.
And you're making high quality content too. You're not just like,
No, she's literally filming on the DSLR like
Yeah.
for Instagram.
Okay, well,
I'm like, damn.
Well, at the time, I was just filming on my phone because that was all I had. But I think it got to a point where I was doing so much filming and creating content for the algorithm and less for myself. And I realized that I really wanted to grow and challenge myself creatively and artistically. At Buzzfeed, it's very easy to get caught into the hole of just creating for the algorithm, creating for an audience, following best practices, blah, blah, blah. And it's fun at first. You see like the notifications like coming in, and it's kind of like that big dopamine hit. But after a while, I just felt like I wasn't creating anything that was like impactful or like, well, not impactful, but like I felt like I wasn't creating anything that really resonated with me anymore, because I was just doing trends. I was like trying to find ways to like make content really quickly. So that was when I started bringing my that was when I started bringing in my mirrorless camera to film, because that was like my roots. Like when I was a student at UCLA, I wanted to film. I wanted to get more into filmmaking and storytelling. So that's why I film with my mirrorless camera now, because it's me going back to my roots of like filmmaking and art and storytelling, and less about the algorithm and making for the algorithm. I just want to make things for myself now.
And your content is very like cinematic.
Yes.
Like it's really
It's
setting
rich.
a vibe. It's very
Yeah.
rich. Yes.
Thank you. That is the goal.
no,
We love
I
it.
think you're crushing it. And I think that's really beautiful that you went back to what speaks to you, because I think that's really hard.
I think right now I'm just trying to balance like what I used to make before, like anime recommendations, because I still love anime. Like I think where more of my audience came from. Like I think I first started building an audience with the cooking videos with my mom, and then it just when I started making more videos I was interested in, the anime stuff just really like kicked off, which is great. But then I was like, well, I don't want to just make anime content, you know? Like I get inspired by anime, but I don't want to just like talk about anime 24/7. So I'm trying to like still bring that in, but also bring in other parts of myself to make content for. Like for example, things from my personal life that I think would resonate with my community. I try to bring that in as well, because at the core of it, I think I just want my community to feel seen, to feel like they're not alone. And I feel like I've gone through a lot of stuff in my personal life, and I feel like being vulnerable and sharing that, I think is more important to me than like going viral or like hitting like a certain number, like hitting certain metrics, you know?
Yeah.
Does that scare you to like post super personal stuff to so many people, and literally anything you post can go so far beyond your own following? Like, are you,
Yes.
how do you get past that block?
Oh my God. That's a really good question, because I honestly don't think about that sometimes. Like
You just go,
You're like, no one's watching this.
yeah, I think like maybe I think it'll just hit my core audience. That's like, well, at the end of the day, I think I create my content for that core audience, and I try not to think about like what other people will think that's outside of my core audience. Because at the end of the day, I'm not making content for them. I'm making content for people that want to see me and want to hear my story, and people that I want to connect with, versus like, you know, the fucking males out there.
That's really what I'm talking about. You
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
avoid the males, especially on Instagram. Like, I feel like you're really
Yes.
popping off on Instagram. The Instagram comments are horrific.
Oh,
it's the
yeah.
worst platform ever,
Yeah.
because your videos always go to men. Always.
I know. I also get this from from TikTok sponsorships. There was a TikTok sponsored actually there were a few sponsorships that I did that unfortunately went into a certain group of the male demographic, and it just they were just so mean. They were just like,
yeah.
there was
I feel like TikTok comments are worse.
I feel like TikTok comments at least have a sense of humor. So like if they're hating on you, they'll be like, "Hey, so never do this again, haha." Whereas on Instagram, they're like, "You ugly bitch." Like,
yeah,
it's
they'll,
like
call
that's
you,
not even funny.
yeah, they'll just like call you out for your appearance. And I'm just like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Crazy.
One question I want to know too.
Tea
getting into
question.
the tea
Oh,
of
God.
BuzzFeed. But we just want to know, like, what are some of the biggest, like, behind the scenes tea that you have on BuzzFeed? Maybe most people don't know about.
Like inside
Let's
scoop
look behind
we
the
don't
curtain.
see.
Yeah.
So when I was making original content, the context, when I was making original content for BuzzFeed, Apop, which is BuzzFeed's Asian brand, was not really existing at the time. I mean, it was a Facebook page, and they would read articles, but they didn't have a built-out video team. And I really wanted to start making videos, especially after the success with Cooking with My Mom. I was like, there's an appetite for this content. Like, there are Asian Americans that want to see themselves on the internet. And I feel like BuzzFeed is a perfect place to really kick off Apop and really build out the team and build out like a video brand. Because there was already one existing for the Latinx community, Better Like, and then Cocoa Butter for like the Black community. So I was like, well, where are the Asians at?
I can't believe this is like what 2019 and they still don't have that.
That's really bad.
Yeah. I think I finally transitioned to be a full-time Apop video producer in 2022. Oh, no, 2023.
What?
That's wild.
Wait, when did I get laid off? Oh, this year. Yeah.
Let's talk about that as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I will get there. So, I finally transitioned to be a full-time A-pop producer for 2023. So I was making videos.
Wow.
I was on the red carpet interviewing Asian celebrities for like Asian-led movies and TV shows. And really spearheaded like the video production. I was also making YouTube videos. I finally delved into making YouTube videos, which is what I wanted to do. And I think it was like a dream of mine to be a BuzzFeed video producer making YouTube videos, because I saw like the people that I admired when I was watching BuzzFeed consistently, like doing that. So it was a big dream of mine to finally like make YouTube videos for BuzzFeed. And it was doing so well. It was doing really well. Like, unfortunately, BuzzFeed's higher ups did not know how to sell Apop properly. The sales team, basically.
classic.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know. I can't speak for like what actually is going on, but from my perspective, it just felt like they weren't pitching us for like sponsorships, which is a big component of like how BuzzFeed makes money. So when it came to the layoffs, they saw Apop and didn't see a lot of revenue and decided to lay off the entire full-time team. So that included me and 2 full-time producers that were freelance, so like permalance, and then like a lot of like the adaptations team, which basically they adapt content from like existing videos, like YouTube videos, into shorts or like reels and TikToks. So yeah, they let go of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know what? I bet to them, they're like, well, we have to do this. I mean, it's not performing, without like thinking
Exactly.
that they are the reason why it's
Maybe
not
the
performing.
sales team.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, like they got laid off, but I felt like the A-pop video team got the brunt of it.
Also, BuzzFeed got bought during this time, right? Or what?
They sold Complex.
They sold Complex.
They sold Complex, but kept First We Feast.
So I feel, oh, that's interesting.
I didn't even know that First We Feast was related to BuzzFeed whatsoever.
Well, Complex started First Week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they just kept
that's
it.
interesting
They wanted
that
to
they
keep hot
kept.
ones.
Yeah, they wanted to keep hot ones. Because I feel like when that deal happened, that they sold Complex, that was like the end.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I felt like there was layoff after layoff after layoff. And you survived like 3 or 4 rounds.
Yeah.
of
Oh,
layoffs.
shit.
I
Yes.
did, but the one this year
Massive
got me.
layoffs.
Yeah,
Massive.
yeah, that's true.
Wow.
I did I think after 10 weeks of working at BuzzFeed, there was a massive layoff. And I survived that. And then I think there were 3 more before it finally got me. And I told myself, honestly, I think I manifested my layoff. I was journaling and I was like, you know what? I think the only way that I would leave BuzzFeed is if I got laid off. And it happened.
Wow.
The universe was like, she needs to like keep following her dreams.
She
Let's
ready,
give her
yeah.
some space.
Yeah. I think it really was a blessing in disguise for the layoff happen, because now I've learned that I would rather put 100% of my effort to my own work versus a corporation.
Bria's like,
Because-
Yes.
Because a corporation doesn't care about you.
yeah.
That
I learned that
part.
lesson too.
Yes. They don't
The
care
hard
about-
way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Me too. I also learned the hard way.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you got that from the layoff.
They-
but-
Yes.
A really great quote someone told me after Amazon was, you can love a corporation and you can love your job as much as you want, but it will never love you back.
Yes.
It is not
Period.
a person. It does not have feelings. It does not give a fuck.
Yeah.
And wrapping
that
your
up.
identity in your job is
Exactly.
so bad. So
Exactly.
toxic, has no longevity. It will ruin you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that was what happened. I had wrapped so much of my identity, so much of my I wrapped up my identity into BuzzFeed A-pop so much so that when the layoff happened, even though I'd manifested it, it still hurt.
Absolutely, yeah.
I describe it as leaving a toxic long-term relationship. You know that it's necessary to leave, but it still hurts.
Yeah.
Especially when like you're not the one who did it. Like
Yeah,
they did it
yeah.
to you. It's like, fuck you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't even want to be here anyway.
And you did it for some interesting reasons.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't really properly support this thing, and now you're getting rid of
And then
it.
you're getting rid of
Exactly.
it. And the thing is, they kept Better Like and Cocoa Butter. They axed A-pop.
Wow.
Yes. Because Cocoa Butter and Better Like had already had built up the rapport of being with, or they built up the rapport of sponsorships with
Yeah.
brands.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm so proud of what they've done, and I'm really happy that they were able to like stay at BuzzFeed. It's just really unfortunate that A-pop didn't get to have that opportunity
Yeah.
as well. And I will also say that, oh my God, shout out to everyone that's still working on BuzzFeed A-pop right now, because that's not their full-time job. Those people are like producers on Tasty, or like they're on the social team for other brands. They're still carrying A-pop because they care about the mission and the community. But it's not their full-time job, because guess where the full-time people left, or guess where the full-time people went? They just axed them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Well, what's next for Janna M?
I'm currently trying to write a book.
Yes.
That's cool. About what?
I'm trying to write a short story anthology about like it's like different short stories about like different Filipino Americans and their lives in Southern California, which is kind of like an extension of like my experiences.
Yeah.
As much as I do enjoy making videos and being on camera, I also just enjoy creating outside of myself and like delving more into like different characters and different stories. Because I think honestly, it can get exhausting just being on camera like very consistently and making content like for so long. It's just really nice to create something outside of myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to write a book. I'm like 19,000 words in.
Oh my gosh.
And who knows, like the intention is to create a book, but I would love to adapt it into short films too.
That's cool.
So yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Wow.
I love it. I love how like in every single thing that you do, you are always fucking representing your community. That is everything.
Yes.
It's important.
It is very important.
Yeah.
So for our high idea of the week, what advice would you give to people like you who are like corporate girlies, 9 to 5, have to be creative at work, but they're also making content on their own and they can't quit? Like they're just in the situation. What would you say to them? What's your best advice?
Oh yeah, best advice. I've thought about this a lot. Because I think there's already a lot of good advice out there about that. I think don't be afraid to break the rules, because I think when you're working a social media corporate job, there's a lot of rules. There's a lot of guidelines. There's a lot of things you have to abide by. You're privy to what the corporation is telling you. You have to do it because it's your job. But I think with your social media platform, I think it's okay to experiment and to like break the rules a little bit. And I think there's a lot of freedom in that. So, and I think your platform should be something that doesn't feel restrictive or it shouldn't feel restrictive, and it shouldn't feel like it's another job, you know? I think there should be some play and there should be some room to experiment and do things that you love. And I think you should prioritize your happiness with your platform, and leave the other corporate things with your corporate job.
That is so hard not to put your corporate parameters and KPIs and stuff on your personal content.
Yeah, it's really hard, especially because like I think, especially coming from Fullscreen, we were trained to do that.
There's nothing fun about a YouTube video, bitch. Like we're looking at the watch time, the engagement,
average view duration.
Diving in deep.
I know it's really hard to separate yourself from that, but I think one of the reasons why I'm still creating content is because I've kind of like allowed myself to just experiment and not care so much about the metrics and whether I'm following best practices properly, you know?
Never use the term best practices when you're talking about your personal content.
Exactly. I know. I freaking
I never want to hear that phrase again.
I know. Like leave it at the job, leave it at the day job. But I think that's my biggest advice, to just prioritize your happiness when it comes to your personal content.
Make it fun. Like if you're not having fun, why would anyone else enjoy it?
Exactly. And when you're having fun and it shows, then people will see that as well.
Yeah. So true. Thank you so much for coming, Janna. Where can everyone follow you? Shout out your TikTok and your Instagram and all that.
Oh, yes. I am Janna.em on Instagram and TikTok, and then Janna_em on YouTube. I'm trying to make more YouTube videos, so
Janna, JANNA.em.
Yes, on Instagram and TikTok, and then same thing, but an underscore for YouTube.
Nice.
I love it. Everyone follow Janna. We're going to link her stuff in the description, and follow High Girlies at Girlies Pod on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Rate us on Spotify. We had a hater on Spotify give us 1 star.
Oh no!
I don't know who the fuck you are, but I'm gonna find you. Nothing. They just gave the 1 star. Anonymous little bitch.
Oh, I'm sure.
But that's how you know you made it. You have haters.
That's true. We do have a hater. I actually like that.
Time to come and hate.
Literally.
Yes, you're right. Actually, we love the haters.
But
we love the
don't
haters.
rate and review us if you're gonna give us 1 star.
Right. Take that to maybe TikTok.
Yeah.
YouTube. Something that will help us algorithmically.
But 5 stars. I'll take 4, honestly.
No, I don't want 4.
Okay, 5
stars. Only. Excellent.
5 or nothing.
Thank you so much, Janna. We're going to end with a bye, girlies.
Bye, girlies.
Was I supposed to say that too?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
We'll do it again.
Bye, girlies.